Hey boys and girls, Doug Giles here. It's Warriors Rich
and Wildmen. What's happening, Doug?
Hey, talking to you about an Italian Marxist. Do you know a guy named Antonio Gramsci, Rich?
I have not heard of him.
Antonio Gramsci. Okay, so Tony, he lived, when this dipstick lived, he was born in 1891. Croaked at the ripe old age of 46, went insane. Teeth fell out of his mouth, just banging his head against the wall. He had so many demons rattling around in his Warrington brain. And but he, Mr. Gramsci, Antonio, he was an Italian Marxist philosopher, journalist, linguist, writer, and politician. And everybody, Rich, who loves jackbooted thuggery, that thinks that big government is a wonderful thing to have. They fawn over this cat, and I want to read a quote from Gramsci, and this is and again context 1935, so way back then. He said, "Socialism is precisely the religion that must overwhelm Christianity. In the new order, socialism will triumph by first capturing the culture via the infiltration of schools, second, universities, third, churches, and then fourth, the media. And through those four avenues and entities, then they will transform the socialist, the conscience of the society."
Yep.
So I tell you what, man, I gotta give it to Tony. These guys thought it through. The church didn't. The church is like, give them the schools and give them the culture, and we're just going to have our little Bill Gothard Institute things and separate from society. And then the next thing you know, we've got Joe Biden, and our whole country, it looks like, is captured by this nonsense. But they said we got to go through schools. We're going to hit the universities. Then we're going to infiltrate churches. And when we take over the media, this baby is ours.
Well, they're already there. They're there. I mean, there are churches resisting. I would not say even close to a majority of churches would be even accepting this type of stuff. But people are. I mean, it's slowly infiltrating the churches as well.
So, Rich, in regards to the first line in this quote from this demonic Gramsci dude, he says, not me, not you, but, Gramsci, socialism is precisely the religion that must overwhelm Christianity. So I'm going through the book of Mark on Sundays at Liberty Fellowship, and if anybody's around the San Antonio, Austin area, come drop in. And nearly every chapter, man, Christ is just beating the shiitake mushrooms out of the Pharisees. I mean, he's just cheese grating them at every opportunity. And that's undeniable. We know that he hates fussy, self-righteous traditions of men. Look at me, I'm Sandra D. My poop doesn't stink. I'm better than that other person. And Jesus, you need to prove yourself to us over and over again and give us signs and wonders as we tirelessly, question you and test you. Mm-hmm. And so it's clear that he hates them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't give them any kind of, how do they say it back in the day? He doesn't give them any quarter. He chases them out of every place and every stronghold that they have, spiritually or culturally. But I think that this is something that maybe you can help me through, because I think there's a message. I think there's a book in it. I'm starting to see the cultural Marxist socialist / communist. It's hard for me to delineate, especially where they're going with this stuff now. I'm starting to see, what's the word I'm looking for? A kind of mirroring aspect on them and the Pharisees. So you got the Pharisees, our way or the highway. You obey us, or you're going to get crucified. You say what we say, or you're going to get crucified. Very self-righteous, and anytime anybody didn't toe their line, boom, hardcore condemnation, and they would coordinate with the Roman government for any kind of punitive stuff that they would place on anybody that did not obey them and blasphemed their dogma. So am I groping here? Because again, I know it's clear what Christ said about the religious Pharisees, but Gramsci, he said that socialism is precisely the religion to overwhelm Christianity.
Well, that's the thing, and that's some of the stuff that we're dealing with in the U.S. today, and we were talking about that with the transgender stuff, is that it's becoming a religious ideology. It literally is becoming a religion in the sense that it's replacing religion. And in America, traditionally and before a Christian country, they're intentionally slowly replacing traditional and biblical values and ideology. And so Christianity will always be the threat to socialism, communism, and these type of things. And we've seen that throughout history through the underground church. The church holds on to the word of God. The people bind together. You cannot kill a small church. They operated underground in Russia and different places all over China, all over the world. And you know what? The church is the enemy of socialism. It's the enemy of communism. And so what this becomes is, it's not just like you said, Doug, these people who support these things, it's not like they're like, oh, these are my politics. It is their identity. It is their religion. They despise Christianity. They hate the Bible. Somebody the other day online, I was on the Warriors and Wildmen Facebook page, and I commented on this thing and said, having food is not a reward. It's a basic human right. So I commented and I said, who owes it to them? That's a fair question, right? And they said, well, I'm going to contribute and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I said, fine, so will I. But there's people who won't. And this one guy get in there, yeah, that's when people misquote the Bible and they say, if you don't work, you don't eat. And I responded and said, they're actually not misquoting the Bible. It literally says that word for word. And the guy came back and said, yeah, I guess it actually does. But you guys twist everything else to attack our ideology. And so you see, it's a war. It's not some conspiracy thing where we feel like we're being persecuted. It is a war. It's not a secret warfare. The line is drawn. They intentionally have targeted Christians and Christianity because we stand in the way of them implementing their ideology, which has become religious. It is a religion to them.
Yeah, and if people think, Rich and Doug, you're full of crap, it's like, no, this is something that's been planned. Again, we're talking about with Gramsci, early 30s, mid 30s.
Almost 100 years.
Yeah, Saul Alinsky, in his book Rules for Radicals, which he, by the way, dedicated to Lucifer.
Great.
And, if people think that I'm full of specious stew, just go to Amazon and hit the see inside, look for the contents type stuff. So here's Saul Alinsky, and again he's the great community organizer that Barack Obama pretty much
followed his playbook.
Yeah, it was his blueprint for fundamentally transforming America, and that's what Acorn did, that my daughter famously brought down to Chinatown on April Fool's Day 2010. But he talks about pretty illustriously, Rich, on if you want to change the culture, you got to infiltrate the church.
Yes.
And so Chicago, where he was operating and stuff, they got way deep, especially into the Catholic Church. And again, what a great way to hide, It's like, I'm a sheep. No, you're a wolf. It's like, I'm preaching the gospel. No, you're preaching liberation theology. You're preaching socialism and heresy.
And liberation theology, that whole theology is heresy. That's 100% heresy. It's trash.
Yeah, and so, again, you look at Jeremiah Wright, GD America, Obama's pastor, same stuff. Raphael Warnock over there in Georgia and Atlanta, same kind of garbage. It's all again woke socialism under the guise of Christianity, and they infiltrated the church. And then you've got whole denominations.
They're doing it in the Southern Baptists right now.
Right. So you got that's what I was going to bring up. So Southern Baptists today kicked Saddleback out of the denomination because they, they've taken a stand. Women can preach. Women can share the testimony.
I saw Rick Warren's thing. I tried to send that to you, but I didn't have good Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that my editor over at Clash Daily, Wes Walker, he brought up the selective outrage. Wherever you stand on what SBC did with Saddleback, I don't care. Here's the interesting thing about this, Rich. Selective outrage. They didn't do the same kind of stuff that they did to Saddleback as to the critical race stuff.
Nope.
And for the
they embraced it.
And the Black Lives Mafia stuff, they're just, they just buried their head in the sand and like you said, it took it on. It's like, yeah, we're gonna say what you want us to say. And again, that's they're following Gramsci, and it goes back to the previous podcast, man. If Jesus is saying something, and he's taking a stand on a certain issue, and if you don't do it, then not only is Christ going to be ashamed of you, but also you assist, these kind of Gramsci-like jackass jackboots, into the body of Christ, and then to enslave the masses that if they don't do their homework, they're going to be under these morons' spell.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they want, is they want to dictate to you what you can believe. They want to dictate to you. I had my friend Ingolf Schmidt and did an interview with him for Warriors and Wildmen, and he was raised in communist Germany. And, his dad thought communism was a good idea because they had been under worse things. And communism sounded good because everybody's going to be treated fairly and equal. Socialism, the cousin of communism. It sounds so good to the uneducated mind, to someone who has not read anything in history and seen the results of socialism in every country that it's touched. And so people refuse to look at it, and it's this emotional thing. There's no rationale. There's no reasoning. There's no looking at facts and answering for Venezuela, right? One of the richest countries in South America, now complete trash. They'll say, oh, no. And they wave their hand and make sounds. But they don't give an explanation. They don't give an argument. There's no debate because it's an emotion. It's a religion. And it's appealing to, I want more of other people's stuff. It's actually greed. It's the highest form of greed, is to feel that you have the right to what someone else worked for. And it's complete garbage because there's no one voluntarily living in socialism. I don't know anybody who's equaling out their wage with the guy who mows their lawn and sharing their salary with them. They're not doing that because everyone involved in socialism wants something from someone else. Where are the givers? Who's going to give these people the food? These people that want $25 to work at McDonald's, who's going to give you? Where's that? Billionaires are going to. That's trash. But it's based in greed. It's such a selfish and flesh motivated doctrine that's motivated in greed and selfishness that I deserve more.
Yeah, and then you got the soft gray matter of people that have come up through that garbage in the public school system, and then really get it cemented once they go to these universities, and then you've got it also supplemented, augmented, whatever you want to say, when they go to a squishy, compromised, effete, emasculated evangelical church.
Yeah,
that doesn't expose this kind of stuff. That doesn't. I think every pastor on this planet that's worth his salt ought to take all these aspects of socialism and communism, and from the pulpit during the main service, not some little side bar type meeting, with 14 people on Thursday evening or anything like that. I think they ought to jackhammer this stuff from the main pulpit and show how it's a lie and how the Bible contradicts it, and that Jesus is not some, bearded Birkenstock, socialist hippie at all. He's not a big fan of big government, and just line that stuff out big time, and follow through with that, with the apostles' doctrine on all of this stuff, and how they practically addressed all the things that Christians now and again, the stupid people that have gone to public school think, yeah, that's right, I'm entitled to that. You shouldn't have that. I should have some of that. And
Right.
it's the gospel of envy.
Yes.
If not me, then no one.
Right.
And
No,
that's
that's
where
right.
everybody's at.
And they're all for that. They have no problem breaking the economy and making other people in what they feel like is their same condition. And what they don't realize is these people who call themselves poor, they're going to find out what real poverty is if the economy collapses.
Yeah.
I saw a thing on Jordan Peterson. I just shared it the other day. And he said, if you want to be in the top 1% worldwide, you only have to make $32,000 a year. And the guy that he was talking to said, well, yeah, that's worldwide, but he's like, well, what other measure is there? Because everybody wants to pretend that rich is somebody who has more money than me. No one that makes $32,000 wants to say I'm in the top 1%. I have a responsibility. And that's why sociology is so appealing. I mean, socialism is so appealing to these stupid idiots.
Yeah, I was doing a tithe message a couple months ago, and it's 1 Timothy 6. Those who are, rich in worldly goods, don't put your trust in riches, but, do good works and give and blah, blah, blah. And I asked the crowds, like, how many of you guys think you're rich? And I think maybe one or two raised their hands. And then I said exactly that. It's like, man, if you're making $30K a year, then guess what? You're flush according to the rest of this planet.
Yep.
And here you're worried about, what you're going to eat and the level of yumminess of what you're going to consume. I go, the people over in frickin' Darfur or in Bulawayo, they're scrounging around for an extra dung beetle to share
Right.
amongst 7 people right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and it's an incredible thing too, and there's some targets, and we do live in America. It's the richest country in the world, but they say that if you make, the number was lower, they've just adjusted it. If you make about $100,000 a year, it significantly increases your life opportunities and your happiness. So there's levels, and once you get up to about $100,000 a year, and that's talking about a small family for family income, that you can increase your happiness significantly at the levels up to it. And they said, but after about $100,000 a year, the increase in happiness is not significant. That doesn't mean you can't do greater things and all that, but they're saying that up to this level, there is a significant increase in happiness, and after that, not so much. And so if you live in America and you want to target something where you can be happier and make, have better opportunities for your family and to give more, to help other people, to make a difference, that's a great target, and if you can make more and give and bless more people, great. But to think that you make $100,000 a year and you're not rich, people think that. $200,000 a year and you're not rich, people think that. $500,000 a year, well, I'm not a millionaire. Or if you don't have $1 million in assets, not counting your house, that's how they do that, then you're not a millionaire. So I'm not rich, or I only have $1 million. It's not what it used to be. I'm not a billionaire. And everybody's pointing at somebody else, and no one's saying I'm rich, because if you say you're rich, you have responsibility.
Yeah, I like how Solomon says, if you have the fear of God and a good name, you're wealthy.
Yeah.
You're very
stuff.
rich, man. Because you can have a lot of money and have none of that, and gain the whole world rich.
Yeah.
And then once you take the big dirt nap, boom, you're roasting on El Diablo's hibachi grill for all eternity. Hey, aside from pulling your kids out of school and universities and shoring up the pulpit in regards to an offensive attack against socialism and all of its multifaceted demonic wares, what else should the Warrior and Wildmen enthusiasts be doing, Big Dog?
They should go to warriorsandwildmen.com and subscribe, because we will tell them these things and remind them. And they can subscribe, and it's free. You get a couple emails a week. If you want to help support the ministry, go to the War Chest, tax deductible. When you send your gift, we'll send you that information. For those that are given to the War Chest, you guys rock. You guys are making it happen. Warriors and Wildmen, out.